Hello my friends, today we're going to be doing a pretty full-on day of training. First I have a power session planned where I'm going to do some kilter boarding and power exercises, and then it's a bit of a rest and I'll go to another gym and then do kind of like a techie session. But first, morning stretching, let's go.
My morning stretching isn't always very consistent, and this particular morning I felt like a stiff refrigerator, but it had to be done.
Alright. That's just a portion of it, but I figure we're gonna do a lot of climbing, so let's move on to that stuff now instead.
Generally, my sessions start off with a bit of yoga and kind of just warming up all of the joints. It's quite dynamic. This particular day, I had one of the worst muscle knots I think I've ever had in my lat, and I was trying to massage it out, just freaking doing anything I can to get rid of the pain, and I was somewhat successful. So I started climbing, started doing my circuits. I generally try to do some light climbing before I start going on the heavier stuff. This is kind of like, I'm on the wall for like a minute and a half or so. Often on these power sessions, I try to do like one ridiculous power exercise before I get going that I think is just looks fun, looks interesting, and gets me motivated to try hard. And in this case, this was this ball jump, and I was relatively successful.
Guys, I'm at the end of my warm-up and I'm gonna start getting my ass kicked by Alex Megas boulders. Let's go.
Whenever I do kilterboard sessions, I try to focus on climbers. I look through the logbooks for climbers that I think are just, you know, very strong, like unreasonably strong, and try to replicate their boulders or do their boulders, basically. Alex is one of those climbers. His style is completely different from mine, and he can do all of these ridiculous things. So oftentimes his boulders will be hella hard for me. For instance, I tried the real bibliography thing that he set, and even though I was technically cheating it, like you can't go left hand to the upper crimp, I realized after I was on the session, it still was ridiculously hard for me. Like, this climb is not something I can just do. It's very challenging, and for him it looks like a walk in the park. Basically, this move right here is the crux, and it's like I had to break that as well, do this double coordination to even be able to get close to linking the boulder. I decided to take a break from that one and try some Jimmy Webb boulders. He makes stuff that's just really freaking cool on the kilterboard. He's also hella strong, so it's very challenging and good training for me. So it's either him or Alex that I actually most often climb the boulders off. Yeah, it's just always good training, you know? I tried this one last session and failed it. I was pretty close on the flash and then ended up not doing it at all. So I was psyched to get a top of it. After the Jimmy Webb boulder, I decided to help back on the real bibliography thing. But the thing is, like, these crimps, the foothold crimps that Alex uses, are some of the worst holds in the world to me. Like, I literally don't know how to manage my weight around them, and that's the big issue here. Like, having that type of weird finger strength, like pocket crimps, is, I don't know, it's just not something I have, and that makes it extra good to train on, and actually gets me really psyched to get back on it and like get my ass kicked, because yeah, it's a nice feeling to get your ass kicked in a way. But I wanted to, you know, boost my ego a bit, so I switched down the degrees to 50 on the kilterboard and tried another one of Alex's boulders that I'd flashed at 45 degrees, where it's graded 8A. So it's called How Big Is Your Span? And at 50 degrees, the consensus is towards 8B. Personally, it doesn't quite feel like that hard. It feels much easier than the real bibliography for my size and my strengths, but it's you know, it's good training as well to try hard on stuff that's your style, because I think training your style is very important to progress, because like I won't ever be the strongest, you know, 6mm edge climber in the world. That's just never gonna happen, but I can at least become quite strong at compression on pinches and like big moves. So, you know, I really enjoy training that to progress at what I can actually become better at. Finally, I wanted to try and work on one of the boulders that's on my like bucket list of kilterboard problems, called Franconian Sky, which is graded 8B at 50 degrees. This boulder is just wild to me. Like I'm so far away from doing it, because it's basically, I'm pretty good at full crimping holds, but on this one you have to half crimp everything because you can't get your thumb around it. For me, like, all of my pulling power just gets removed completely on that angle. Anyways, once I got my ass kicked, it was time for some finger training. I recently started a new routine where I try to basically, I put the plates at a stack where they're like just at the weight where I can lift them up, and then I do 5 repetitions of trying to pull that up from the ground, and usually they'll float a little bit or just basically hover above the ground, and that's kind of the goal for that training exercise as well.
The answer is yes. I took out the camera just to illustrate the point of me moving to a new location, but now we are at a new gym and it's time for my sensitive, delicate session. Let's go.
Before the technical session, I needed to warm up again, and I didn't really want to do any gym stuff, so I played a little bit of paddle with my coworker Christopher, who you guys are gonna meet in the next episode when we're gonna set a replica of Silence of the Wagon and a competition boulder from the women's finals in Japan. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.
Okay guys, second part of the session, time to go. I'm gonna start off by climbing a lot of easier stuff, like as easy as I can find, as long as they have nice movements. Kind of just get a feel for my body and for my feet, and like feel the tension go through the feet. And then I'm gonna try some harder boulders. There's 3 here that I haven't tried that are of a little higher caliber than the other ones that I'm gonna check out. But again, I'm very fatigued, so maybe I'll just give them 1 or 2 attempts each and then move on, because it's, yeah, I don't want to overdo it really and risk injury. So keep it calm again with the easier stuff first, and then get on the just touching a little bit of the harder stuff.
When I do these more technical sessions, one of the really big things that I focus on is kind of how each angle position in my knees, my hips, my ankles changes my position on the wall. Like how much force can I reduce from my arms and still maintain myself on the wall to basically better my footwork. That's the end goal. I want to become better at standing on my feet and applying pressure through them. Oftentimes you don't put enough pressure on your feet, and that's something you're continuously going to work towards probably for your entire climbing career, and it definitely is something I'm still working on a lot. So yeah, that's the focus on these sessions.
Take a look at the boulders that I'm going to try that are a bit harder. There's a green little fiddler. Coordination move, bam. Coordination move, boof. Shenanigans. This green one over here. Boom. Smack. Zoop. Move. It's kind of how it's gonna look, I hope. That's what goes through my mind when doing these type of competition style boulders, or like more delicate stuff, I guess is a better word for it. And then I have 1 more that I might give 1 attempt on. Hopefully it's not gonna be too hard. Let's get going. Being successful first attempt. Okay, I cheated my way through that one, but you have to take the victories you can get. I'm way too tired to try and push myself through that corner. I'll move on to the next one, the coordination jump. For this next presentation, jumps, jump, and catch. Here goes the flash. Nay. Okay, next go. I feel like I kind of broke that one with my reach again, but I'll take that one because I'm not sure. Maybe I could have like popped to it, locked up higher to do the final match instead of staying down low. But yeah, one more thing and then I'm completely worn out. It's been a good session, so I'm happy.
So a quick disclaimer when I'm on this type of boulder, like this one is probably too hard to have in the technical session. It's quite physical on slopers and there's a lot of pulling and there's not so much that you can optimize body positioning wise. Of course, like you can always climb better, but generally like on this one, the biggest thing is to just pull hard and be strong on these holds. And what I want to mention is I don't have these sessions like 6 times a week. It's basically once in a week at most. Sometimes, very occasionally, it's 2 of these double sessions because they're really heavy on the body and you need to rest more than that. So oftentimes it'll be like a 3 to 4 hour session in one day, and that's usually the end of it.
Okay, session is officially over. In total, it's about 1 hour of biking, 3 hours from warm-up until the kilterboard session was over, and then 2 hours-ish here at the technical gym that I've been training, including a little bit of a warm-up here as well. So, like, that's a fair amount of training for one day for me. I generally don't do quite as much, and I also have fairly often a rest day in between. I do like 3 days on, 1 day off usually, and then one of those days is heavy, 2 of those days are a bit lighter, and then the third, and then it's a rest day. So that's kind of generally how my schedule will look with training. I have a plan to make a more comprehensive training routine guide soon for what I do. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, make sure to drop them down below and I'll try to respond to as many as I possibly can. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.